Hello everyone, this is Allison Merker Garner, and this is for Musical Minds Volume 2, and this class is appropriate for students of violin, viola, cello, and piano, preferably using the Suzuki method, Book 2 and up. If not, that's okay too. It's not exclusively for Suzuki students. And teachers and parents are welcome to participate or watch. So we're going to focus today on compound meter and rhythms in compound meter and B flat major and melodic patterns in B flat major. So let's begin. We're going to start with a meter. Knees, hands, 2/4 meter. Pickety, pickety, my black hen. She lays eggs for gentlemen. Gentlemen come every day to see what my black hen doth lay. Rhythm in your hands. Pickety, pickety, my black hen. She lays eggs for gentlemen. Gentlemen come every day to see what my black hen doth lay. Knees, hands. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Rhythm in your hands. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. We've done hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock. So this is one you've done in a previous class. You can certainly have it memorized well enough to do the rhythm on that one. We also did higgledy piggledy pop. The dog has eaten the mop. The pig's in a hurry, the cat's in a flurry, higgledy piggledy pop. That's another one we've done. And you can do the rhythm on that one. Now the one that we're gonna do with our instruments goes like this. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick. So we're gonna get our instruments ready and do the rhythm on our instruments this time. And I'll say the words in case you aren't familiar with the poem. So if you're a pianist, you can use middle C. You can really use any note, but I'm going to use C. And if you're a string player, you want to play on maybe an open string would be easy, right? But choose a note, and we're going to play Jack be nimble on a note. Ready, go. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick. Let's do it again. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick. Now by saying the words just in your head, ready, go. Good. Now, put your instrument down if you're a string player, and we're going to try doing something with both hands. So you just did the rhythm. Bum, 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 bum. That's with your right hand. Your left hand is the beat. So I'm going to pull this down a little bit so you can see my hands better. Ready, go. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the candlestick. So it might be easier to start with just your left hand to get that beat steady, and then add your right when you feel ready. 1, 2, ready, go. All right? So then you're really feeling the rhythm against the beat in compound meter. Now, put your instrument down, and we're going to do some movement. I would like you to stand up where you're not going to step on your instrument, and we're going to take steps in our in our feet. And your right hand, if you're a pianist, it would be my right hand. But in your hands, we're going to do the micro beat. Was it easy to switch roles, or was that kind of hard to do? So that's another way you can feel what we use as the dotted quarter note and the eighths. Now in compound meter, we split the beat up into threes. So if you've played triplets, and I think probably all of you have played triplets before, because you've either done this on Twinkle or you've played this piece triplet. So you probably played a beat that's split into threes, but you didn't know that's what you were doing. But that's a triplet. Now if we have all of our beats feeling like they're split into threes, then we have compound meter. So that's all it is. So if I do 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a, movement that is used in Delcros, and it was used in my modern dance class when I was growing up, was a skip. Step, skip, skip, skip. Actually, that would be the opposite, wouldn't it? It would be dum bum, 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 a step, hop, step, hop, step, hop, step, hop. That's in a compound meter. So if you want to do step hops, that would be in compound meter. So let's take, without instruments, actually you could use your instrument if you prefer. You can either chant it back, or you can clap back my rhythm, or you can play it on your instrument. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to play, and it goes 1, 2, my turn. Your turn. Bum, 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 bum. My turn. Your turn. Bum, 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 bum. My turn. Your turn. Bum, 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 bum. My turn. Your turn. My turn. Your turn. Good. So now I'm going to play, and you change one little thing in it. It could be something as simple as, if I do this, you may do, just change one beat in there. So let's give that a try. 1, 2, my turn. Your turn. 2, 3, 4. My turn. Your turn. My turn. Done. My turn. Bum, bum, bum. And that's it. Okay? So now you're having to improvise a little bit in compound meter. You have to know it pretty well to be able to do that. And when we look at compound meter, we see a meter signature or a time signature that looks similar to this. The bottom number is an 8. We're used to seeing 4s in simple meter, but this is an 8. That means the 8th note is getting the beat, or bum, 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 bums are getting the beat. The top number here says how many beats are in a measure. So what does that number say? Can you read it? It is a 6. So we have 6 8th notes in a measure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is our hickety-pickety, and it is written out with the rhythm. I'll say it from right here, okay? Hickety-pickety, my black hen, she lays eggs for gentlemen. Dum bum 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 bum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 E and 2 E and 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. We could also call it this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is how we would write it. It looks different than our simple meter because the 8 is on the bottom and the top number is a multiple of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12. So now, just by way of transition, we're going to do a movement thing. So place your violin or viola or cello in a safe spot, and I have a ball. Now, if you don't have a ball handy, that is fine. You can have your pretend ball, or you can go get one. Just pause the video and then go get it and then bring it back. But it is our beat. And we're going to keep a beat steady, like this. And the game goes, you have a name that starts with a given letter, and the place that that person's from starts with the same letter. So I could do, hi, my name is Allison, and I'm from Albuquerque. Hi, my name is Barry, and I'm from Buffalo. Hi, my name is Carrie, and I'm from Cairo. So you can do that on your own, but the point is keeping this steady. You can't move it around to fit the words you're saying. The words have to fit within that beat. All right. Now this may not have triplets in it. You may not use names and places that have triplets in them, that's okay. It's just a way of relaxing a little bit before we go on and start B flat major. So, B flat major. Why don't we start by just listening to a couple of songs that are representative of compound meter, and then we'll get into our B flat major. The first song these are both circle games, so you can look them up online or in my book, but we can't do them on a video. But the first one is a British tune called Push the Business On. So it goes, we'll hire a horse and steal a rig, and all the world will dance a jig. We'll do whatever we can to push the business on, to push the business on, to push the business on. We'll do whatever we can to push the business on. And the other one is on my CD, and it is from Newfoundland, and it is called I's the Buy.
I's the buy that builds the boat, and I's the buy that sails her. I's the buy that catches the fish and takes them home to Lizer. Hip your partner Sally Thibault, hip your partner Sally Brown. Forgle, Twillingate, Morton's Harbor, all around the circle. Sods and rinds to cover your flake, cakes and tea for supper. Codfish in the spring of the year, fried in maggoty butter. Hip your partner Sally Thibault, hip your partner Sally Brown. Forgle, Twillingate, Morton's Harbor, all around the circle. I don't want your maggoty fish, that's no good for winter. I could buy as good as that down in Bona Vista. Hip your partner Sally Thibault, hip your partner Sally Brown. Forgle, Twillingate, Morton's Harbor, all around the circle.
So either one of those, once you get with other people, are fun to do. They're circle games, and they give you a real sense of what compound meter feels like. So let's move on to B flat major. B flat major has a B flat in it and an E flat in it. So we're going to start out with singing, and then we're going to get our instruments out. So here's B flat. You can find that note wherever you want. It could be a low note. Okay, that's B flat. And I'm going to sing and you sing after me. Do, re, mi. Mi, re, do. Do, so, do. Do, ti, do. Do, re, mi. Mi, re, do. Do, mi, so. So, mi, do. Do, so, do. All right? So those are some of the patterns that we have learned and memorized from Musical Minds 1. Now we're going to try them on our instruments. So if you are a string player, get your violin or piano, your violin or viola, don't get your piano, and your cello. And if you are a pianist, come sit at the piano, and we're just going to find some notes first. Play a B flat. Violinists and violists, you're going to have a low one on A string if you want to play it in that octave. You can also find it on G string. All right? B flat. I want you to find an E flat on your instrument. So if we had our tonic note, that would be B flat. And our tonic tetrachord would sound like this. So pianists start with your 2 finger if you're using your right hand and tuck under. String players start with that B flat and we'll go up the scale, whole step, half step. Ready, go. Now go backwards, back down. Good, one more time. And back down. Good. Now let's do a do, so, do. That sounds like this. So find the fingers necessary to make that sound. Sometimes if you sing it, it's easier to find the note. So let's play that together. Ready, go. Again. Good. And let's do a triad. That's our do, mi, so pattern. And it sounds like this. So find that B flat again. That's our starting note. And we're going to play do, mi, so. And then back down again. Again. And back down again. Good. So we played our tonic tetrachord. Now we can also go the next 4 notes. And that starts on our dominant note. What's our 5th note in B flat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's F. So let's start on F note. And it would start with the same finger your B flat note started on. So let's do that. And then back down again. And back up again. So we have a B flat major scale. So let's take that scale and play a canon with that scale. So in a previous video, we did this canon in D major. We're going to do the same canon, but we're going to do it in B flat major. Now, I'm skipping one step that you could do, which is playing Go Talent Rhody and B flat major, just to get used to the key. Why don't we try that once? I don't want to spend time on it today, but why don't we try that once? So we don't start on the tonic in Go Talent Rhody, we start on the 3rd note, on the mi. So we're going to start on D note. Okay, so Go Talent Rhody, ready, go. Okay, now those of you who are interested in harmony, our do, so, do is the harmony for this. Do you remember? You have to just hear when to move to the low note. But that's the only thing you really have to listen for. You know what the notes are. So let's try it once more, and I'm going to play the melody, and the harmony, and you can choose which part you would like to play. Okay, it's B flat. We're going to start on D in the melody, and B flat in the harmony. Ready, go. Let's do it again. Parts. Okay, how'd you do? So now let's go to that canon. Now this is out of my reading book, so you can't read it. You're going to have to play it by ear. But the notes go like this. What is that? It's a scale. Does it go up or down? It goes up by steps. So we're going to start with B flat and review the rhythm for this piece. All right, so start B flat, ready, go. So violinists and violists really need to start on this B flat, that's on G string. And here's the low version of that. Ready, go. Repeat that note. Repeat that note. Again. Start, keep going, repeat, how'd you do? I didn't play your part this time. All right, so we're getting used to playing in B flat major. You can take any of your early book 1 pieces that you know really well and try them in B flat major and get more acclimated to those finger patterns, whether they're on the violin or on the piano. Now, we're going to skip on over. If you're using my Musical Minds book, I should have said this at the beginning. I started on page 117, and I am now in the textbook page, I'm skipping the melodic dictation, page 26. So we have skipped some material. We're going into form. Now we've talked about our 1 and 5 notes in the key, the tonic and the dominant. And that's really important for a lot of reasons. This is something that we hear a lot in a melody, like Happy Farmer, dum bum bum bum. Let's see, rather than hear my singing. Okay, it starts with that so do. All right, so it happens in melody, it happens in harmony. We did that when we were harmonizing our Go Tell It Rhody, weren't we? We were going with that same pattern. But it was functioning differently. It was functioning to support the melody, okay? We also have that tonic-dominant relationship in form. So I'm first going to play two pieces for you to listen to, and then we're going to talk about them. So here's the first one.
Minuet and Rondo by Rameau. Example of AABA form, Baroque style, and tonic-dominant relationships.
So with that one, could you hear anything that was played at the beginning come back later? That's part of form, when we hear something different or the same. And we've done that with poetry. We've done that with chants. We haven't done it so much with pieces yet. And if you look at the songs that you've learned in the early part of book one, the folk songs, they're in a form. The beginning and the end might be the same, like in Twinkle or Go Tell Aunt Rhody. It may not be. It might be like Lightly Row, where the second and fourth lines are the same. So that's a way we can recognize a form when we see things come back, and it helps us to memorize those pieces quickly and also make sense of them much more quickly. So let's listen to this other one.
Frolicking by Behrens. Example of ABA ternary form, Alberti bass and classical style.
So I'm going to play that one again because I want you to add some movement to it. And this is something that I've seen in a class that Jeremy Dittus did at a Suzuki conference. But it is a way of feeling the phrase. And I think it's very helpful when you're with other people to be able to do this, but you can actually do it on your own. So I want you doing this motion, like you're handing over something. Look at what I've got. Look at what I've got. But I want you to do that as if you're offering that to someone. You may want to, if you have any dance training, you would want to follow that movement through, but you may just be a little bit more reserved and just do it with your hands. But I want you to do that on the beat, because you're offering every beat to follow the next beat, to follow the next beat, to follow the next beat. Is constantly moving, and it's not stationary like this, right? So let's just try that, and then we're going to get into our, I haven't forgotten about the tonic and dominant. So let's do that one again.
Frolicking by Behrens. Example of ABA ternary form, Alberti bass and classical style.
It's a little louder, isn't it? So
Good.
you notice how when you do that, you're not ever stopping. And that's what it should feel like when you play your instrument. You're not stopping. It's just the sound keeps spinning. Even if you're not moving at that moment, there's something still vibrating that you're playing off of. So this kind of gives you that feel. And did you notice that the beginning and the end we were in the front, and in the middle part we were on the side? And that was because the form was different. That middle part is our B part. It was not like the beginning part, which is an A. So it was an ABA form. And when we have an ABA form in song form, it's pretty simple. But when composers get involved in this, ternary form is what it's called, then it's expanded and it becomes bigger. And there are two big forms that you already have probably played that have a ternary form. But they're so much bigger you may not recognize it right away. So here's one. Do you know, those of you who are in Book 2 violin? Oh, no. I'm not used to playing it on piano. That one, the Boccherini, and the one before it, Minuet in G, those are in ternary form. You know how you play that first part, and then you have something different, and then you go back to that beginning part. In that case, it's a minuet and trio. You have a minuet part, and you have a trio part, and then you go back to the minuet part. Pianists, do you know from Book 3 this piece? Clementi, the very first one, Book 3. So it's the same way. It starts out in our theme, and so it's our A part, and then we go to this. Does that sound like the beginning? No, it's different. And then we go back to exactly like the beginning, but it has the same theme. So it's a kind of the same thing. It's your Clementi Sonatina, so it's a shortened version of a sonata, but the beginning and the end are basically the same, and the middle is different. And it's called a sonata allegro form when we find that in the first movement of a sonata. So that's another ternary form. It's just a little bit more fancy, right? Now, why is this important with this? Because composers aren't happy with just having the rules about the structure of a piece. They have harmonic rules too. And the harmonic rules follow the form rules. Or maybe the other way around. The form follows the harmony. So when I started the Clementi, I was happily in C major. But then later I do this part. in the dominant of C major. I've ended in G major, right? So the end of a first part of a sonata, we call that the exposition. End of the exposition is in the next key, is in the G major in this case. It's in the dominant. And then what happens here? Doesn't that sound like minor? We weren't playing in minor before. But this is called the development section. The composer gets a chance to be a little creative and do things in different keys and use some snippets and motives from other material and play with it a little bit. So that's what's happening here. We're not in any real key that we stay in. We may be flirting with C minor, but not for long. Okay, so, and then we end like the beginning, except we stay in C major. So the recapitulation stays in C major. So instead of going to this, we're over here when we did that. So, so that's why it's important to know your harmony. It helps the audience listening, and it helps you know where you are. Is a road map. And the ending in C makes you feel like you arrived home. You went grocery shopping, you went to the dry cleaners, you went to the pet store, you went to your yoga class, and then you came home at the very end, right? So you've explored all this world around you, and then you're back at home base by the end. That's your tonic. So here, since we know Go Tell Aunt Rhody so well, we're going to play Go Tell Aunt Rhody two different ways. We're going to do a minuet and trio form, like our Boccherini, all right? And we start out in G major, and then we're going to go to the parallel minor and do G minor. You can hear that. You'll know when I hit the trio. And then when I go back to the minuet, you can say, home! And then I'll play the Go Tell Aunt Rhody in Sonata Allegro form. And I'll start in G major, and then I go to D minor and G major and a little bit of, diminished chords and so forth in the development section. And then I end in G major. So, home! When you get to that recapitulation, you'll hear the same tune as the beginning, and it will stay in that key, all right? So here's the minuet and trio. You've got to do it in 3/4 meter to make it a true minuet, right? Okay, now let's do the Sonata Allegro form and listen for the recapitulation, but coming back at the very end to the beginning theme. D minor. take any of your tunes and just from early book one and experiment with that and just see if you can make it sound like a minuet. You have to put in 3/4 meter, you have to change the rhythm a little bit. And then have a little middle part that is different, and then end with the minuet, or do that with your sonata allegro form. Beginning and end are the same, but you got keys to worry about. You got to remember when to move to the dominant at the end of the, or somewhere in the exposition. Then you can go to town, do whatever you want in development, and then when you come back to the recapitulation, stay in the tonic. You just stay with that beginning key. So the rest of this unit 1E in the book we can't do online, but there's because I'm going into style periods and the Romantic period specifically, but we've just done classical form when we did the two minuet and trio and the sonata allegro form, and then the Romantic period takes that and makes it a little bit bigger. So the things that we do in here have to do with form and texture and articulation and all the things that we couldn't get into online. So there's an art project with 1-point perspective, and then I have a painting from the Romantic period, and I talk about how we take Baroque forms and change them into classical forms, and then again in the Romantic period forms. So that is enough for today. Thank you for participating. I enjoyed it, and I hope you did too.